Are you looking for the best electric scooters under $500? In this video we will look at some of the 8 best electric scooters on the market. Before we get started with our video, starting at number 1. Highboy S2 Electric Scooter. The second version of the Highboy S2 electric scooter shows marked improvement over the original model, namely in the form of added horsepower and improved braking. It is overall well built, but its sturdiness makes it one of the heaviest scooters we reviewed at 34 pounds. It is comfortable to ride because of a padded standing deck and handlebars that accommodate riders of most any height. The scooter's solid 8.5-inch honeycomb wheels don't need to be air inflated, which is great if you fear maintenance but not so great if you need to ride on rough sidewalk. Thankfully, the Highboy Max has a shock absorber built into the rear so you have some basic suspension to cushion bumps, but it's still rough. One of the best qualities about this scooter is its high max speed of 18.6 miles per hour. When you pair this with its respectable battery life, you can get decently far off a single battery charge. The 350-watt motor is stronger than other scooters in the same price range, but this doesn't translate to any extra acceleration or torque because the scooter's frame is heavier as well. The scooter has an LED dashboard that displays basic information such as your current speed, rider mode, and battery level. The Highboy S2 supplements this dashboard with the Highboy app for Android and iOS. This app is the only way to cycle between the beginner, intermediate, and advanced rider modes, which have different max speeds. It is also used to toggle the headlights, check the battery power, and toggle the cruise control. There is even a system self-check so you can anticipate maintenance that needs to be done over time. The scooter folds down easily for storage, but it weighs enough to be a hassle to carry around. It has a decent front LED light and some underglow lights to add visibility at night, but only a reflector on the rear. If you plan to ride this scooter at night, you should definitely invest in a supplementary set of lights. The scooter gets about 50 minutes of ride time off one charge, with conditions like weather, incline, and rider weight potentially cutting this figure short. It has a fairly standard 5-hour recharge time, which is comparable to most other scooters we reviewed. The charge port is a little harder to get to than on other models, but it is still acceptable. If you want to get a little more battery life and don't mind a slightly higher price tag, the Highboy S2 Pro can supposedly go up to 25 miles on one charge. All in all, the Highboy S2 is a pretty solid scooter, especially considering the price. The manual disc brake and the high-torque motor make it a great pick for those who are shopping for a performance-based scooter model. At number 2. Gotrax XR Elite Electric Scooter. The Gotrax XR Elite is a performance-focused scooter that offers great speed and solid battery life at the cost of a few luxury features. The main reason you'll be interested in this scooter is its 300-watt motor, which gives it significantly more pep than previous gen scooters that run on 250 watts. The scooter runs in 2 gears. This electric scooter obviously does not have a transmission. Gear 1 is Eco Mode, which caps out at 10 miles per hour and saves power for longer rides. Gear 2 caps out at 15.5 miles per hour and is ideal for short commutes. The XR Elite has 2 8.5-inch air-filled tires that provide some light shock absorption, but this scooter is definitely not meant for off-roading. The tires will need to be replaced after a few years of riding, so if you are intimidated by maintenance then you may want to consider a scooter with solid rubber tires instead. The XR Elite uses both an electric ABS brake in the front and a manual disc brake in the rear to provide some very quick braking. The electric brake is very sensitive, though, so it does take some getting used to. They are activated by a brake lever and they use regenerative braking to send power back to the battery. The battery life is another strong point of the scooter, with Gotrax advertising a max 18.6 miles of travel off of one charge. In reality, this figure will vary a lot based on road conditions, rider weight, and weather. It charges in about 4 to 6 hours and you can easily track the remaining charge with the onboard LED display panel. The XR Elite has basic front and rear LEDs and lots of reflective stickers to help with visibility, but you should probably invest in an additional light source if you wish to ride safely at night. And while we're on the subject, I would like to point out that the power button, which you single press to turn on the lights and hold for 5 seconds to change gears, is placed so awkwardly that you have to pull over to turn them on. It is certainly an odd choice. But it is these minor gripes that set the XR Elite back. None of them alone are deal breakers, but together they make it clear how this scooter is able to offer so much horsepower at this price range. If I could change one thing about it, I would definitely opt for more comfortable handlebars. But that said, the scooter itself is well built, as its aluminum frame is sturdy and IP54 rated for water resistance. It also folds up nicely despite weighing quite a bit. It might not be a luxurious ride, but the XR Elite packs some serious value at an impressive price point. At number 3. Segway Ninebot Kick Scooter ES2. Robotics company Ninebot is an absolute juggernaut when it comes to personal transportation devices. Not only does Ninebot own the Segway brand, but they also provide their electric motors to numerous competitors. You'll even find their hardware in the Xiaomi M365, another e-scooter reviewed on this list. Most of Ninebot scooters are well outside of the target budget of this roundup, but their Segway Ninebot Kick Scooter ES2 is pretty much in the ballpark. It forgoes some premium features but makes up for it with pure performance. The ES2 uses a front shock absorber to make for a smooth ride when crossing rough terrain. This e-scooter has solid rubber tires, which are maintenance-free though typically less shock-absorbing. The front shock pad helps make up for this. The front tire is 8 inches and the rear tire is 7.5 inches. The ES2 has zippier acceleration than we saw from other scooters because of its 300-watt motor. If you want the max performance, you'll want to put the scooter into sport mode, which sacrifices some of its 60-minute battery life for improved acceleration. It won't go faster than 15.5 miles per hour in either sport or normal mode, but if you want it to go slower you can set a manual limit in beginner mode by setting it up through the app. Segway does make an expansion battery, which increases the max speed to 18.6 miles per hour. It also, unfortunately, breaks the bank. If performance is important enough for you to consider that, though, you'll also want to be aware of the max payload, max rider weight, which is 220 pounds. Unfortunately, that is my exact weight. The more you weigh, the harder the motor has to work regardless of the size of its battery. There's simply no cheating the laws of physics. This scooter has a decent battery life, though, allowing you to get an average 15 miles of travel distance from one charge in normal mode. The battery pack improves the max travel distance to 28 miles. The ES2 has an electric ABS brake on its front wheel that uses regenerative braking to convert kinetic energy back into charge for the battery. This helps you to get even more ride time if you are riding downhill. The electric anti-lock front brake is smooth and responsive, but the ES2 does not have a cable disc brake for its rear wheel. Instead, you have an old-fashioned manual brake to stomp on if you need to come to a sudden stop. Most will prefer the disc brake, but the manual stomp brake gets the job done. Most parts of the ES2 feel well built except for the low-quality foam handlebars. Those can be easily replaced if you don't like them, of course. Because of the way the front post folds down for transport, this scooter feels just a bit more compact than other models. It is also a few pounds lighter and a bit lower to the ground. Another minor complaint is that this scooter doesn't have a rear LED light, making it harder to spot from behind. Its front LED headlight is decently bright, though. All negatives aside, there are a number of compelling reasons to go with Ninebot's ES2 scooter over the competition. But it should also be noted that Segway also makes the hoverboard-style Mini Pro, which is an equally viable option for a last-mile commuter device. You can find a review of that device in our roundup of the best hoverboards. At number 4. Razer EcoSmart Metro Electric Scooter. Some may write off the EcoSmart Metro preemptively because it is made by Razer, the same company that kick-started the push scooter fad of the 90s. Well, Razer actually makes many high-quality e-scooters, and the EcoSmart Metro should be at the top of your list if you are looking for an inexpensive scooter with a seat. The cushion seat post is the standout feature of the EcoSmart Metro, as it makes longer rides much more comfortable. The seat post also houses a detachable rear fender and luggage rack. The rack is great for carrying a few school books or a bag of groceries. The wide footpad makes it easy to sit however you find most comfortable. Because the EcoSmart Metro has tall 16-inch pneumatic tires and positions the driver facing forward, it almost looks more like a compact e-bike than an e-scooter.
However, its lack of pedals and slower acceleration really make it apparent that this is still a scooter when you ride it. Even with a stronger 500-watt motor, the EcoSmart Metro is sluggish to accelerate because its frame is weighed down by large lead-acid batteries. It does reach an impressive 18 miles per hour top speed, but it takes a few seconds to get there and struggles to climb hills just like a smaller scooter would. Its air-filled tires make for a decently smooth ride, but a shock absorber on the seat post would be a very nice upgrade. The scooter has a variable speed throttle control, which makes it easy to maintain a slower speed while you navigate a crowd. Its rear disc brake is connected to a cable lever on the handlebar, but no front brake. Consequentially, the EcoSmart Metro won't stop as quick as scooters with two brakes. This scooter's power switch is found under the footpad near the batteries. It only has a primitive battery status indicator, which simply lights up when you need a charge. The battery is good for around 40 minutes of go time, which is enough for a couple of short rides. The biggest shortcoming of this scooter is that it charges back up incredibly slowly. The manual says to charge for up to 12 hours and a max of 24 hours for the best battery health. You can keep riding day to day with just a few hours of charging here and there, but in the long run, this will negatively impact its battery life. If you can work around the EcoSmart Metro's slow charging and bulky design, it is a capable city commuter that has the unique privilege of being the only seated electric scooter available for under $500. At number 5. Glion Dolly Foldable Electric Scooter. The Glion Dolly is a full-sized electric scooter that has a unique self-standing design that allows you to comfortably tow it along with you to places that you wouldn't carry other scooters. Rather than sport a conventional kickstand, the Dolly has small runner wheels that allow you to roll it like a piece of luggage, hence the name. It can be switched from Dolly to scooter mode in seconds. Simply use the lever and pull up or down, then make sure it locks into position. The adjustable handlebar locks into position tight and is indicative of an overall high build quality. The scooter still weighs 28 pounds, so it's not like you can hop up a flight of stairs just because it's in Dolly mode, but it still makes a difference if you have to bring it on a crowded train or bus. And while it's mildly fun to tote the Dolly around like a piece of luggage, the real reason you're reading this review is probably to find out how the scooter handles. With a 250-watt motor, the Dolly doesn't have a very robust acceleration, but that is typical of e-scooters of this class. Once it gets going, it can reach a top speed of 15 miles per hour, but this could be reduced depending on how close you are to the max rider weight of 255 pounds. The motor also struggles with inclines of 20 degrees or higher, regardless of rider weight. The Glion Dolly has two 8-inch honeycomb tires that are basically maintenance-free. They grip the pavement pretty well, but they don't provide proper shock absorption, and consequently, will handle off-roading very poorly. This e-scooter doesn't have much ground clearance either, making it even hard to navigate rough terrain. The Glion Dolly's control scheme is a bit unorthodox, but still easy enough to figure out. It has a twist throttle on the right for accelerating and another twist throttle on the left for braking. Where it gets confusing is that the right twist throttle is variable speed while the brake twist throttle is on-off. So while you can gradually accelerate into full speed, the brakes immediately engage in full, so stopping feels a little jerky. Although the stopping is jerky, that is only because the Glion Dolly's braking system is robust enough to bring you to a stop in only about 13 feet. The Glion Dolly uses a combination of front electric ABS braking and a rear disc brake for maximum stopping power. Its front ABS brake is capable of regenerative braking, so it can convert your excess kinetic energy back into power for the battery. The Glion Dolly has a fairly solid battery life, advertising up to an hour of ride time off one charge and charging in as little as 3.5 hours. Realistically, you probably won't have enough charge to reach Glion's claimed 15 miles of travel distance unless you are coasting downhill for a good portion of that, but this is still in line with other scooters in its price range. As for other benefits to this scooter, it has an LED display that shows battery life but no other information. This is a strange design flaw, as I really can't imagine why Glion couldn't at least add a speedometer to this screen. Still, it's better than nothing. The scooter also has a bell and a SOS set of LED lights on the front and rear. If you want the Glion Dolly to be a capable last-mile commuting tool, you should probably invest in some secondary lights to improve your visibility. But other than that, it is a solid pick for those who want to cut out the walk to the rail station. At number 6. Razer E-Prime Electric Scooter. The E-Prime Electric Scooter is Razer's newest addition to the electric scooter game. It is cheap enough to make for an awesome Christmas present while looking professional enough to ride it to the office. The Razer E-Prime looks and feels durable with its gunmetal aluminum frame. It folds easily for storage and has a decent kickstand when you just need to dismount for a moment. It is lighter than most other e-scooters at 21 pounds, but it is still far from easy to carry around. More likely, you'll be almost exclusively riding around on the E-Prime's 2 8-inch airless honeycomb tires. These tires handle bumps poorly but are lower maintenance than pneumatic tires. The front tire is extra wide, which helps for a little grip on the road. This scooter reaches a max speed of 15 miles per hour, which is fairly standard for scooters in this price range. The Razer E-Prime has a standard 250-watt motor, so don't count on it to climb anything higher than 15 degrees without some serious leg pushing. One difference between this scooter and others we reviewed is that there is no beginner mode to limit the max speed. It is easy enough to keep a slower speed just using the variable speed thumb knob accelerator on the right handlebar, but amateur riders may be uncomfortable nonetheless. The E-Prime has an electric ABS brake on the left handlebar but no regenerative braking. Backup braking is handled by a foot stomp brake, which isn't as fancy as a disc brake, but it gets the job done in a pinch. One thing that several users describe is that the scooter slows down when the battery gets more than half empty, so it is a good idea to charge it up before every use. The Razer E-Prime gets about 40 minutes of battery life in optimal conditions, and it has a 5-stage LED battery indicator display so you can easily track your remaining charge. The LED indicator is next to the power button just above the footplate. The scooter charges in around 5 hours. The battery life is decent, but it is definitely an oversight that this scooter doesn't have any built-in lights. If you want to safely ride this scooter at night, you need extra lights. Daytime riding feels safe and comfortable, though, as the scooter has nice cushioned handlebars and a large rider deck. This feature-light scooter is far from perfect, but its value price and solid build quality make it a great choice for short trips to the corner store or sidewalk commuting. At number 7. Switron Swagger 5T Electric Scooter. The Switron Swagger 5T scooter might have the most embarrassing branding on the market, but this OEM clone of the Xiaomi Mi M365 holds its own against the original. In a few key respects, it even outperforms it. One of the main ways it outperforms the M356 is its price point. The Swagger 5 is an incredible value, especially since it performs about as well as the industry-standard Xiaomi M365. The Swagger 5T weighs a fairly average 27.5 pounds and its front post folds down so you can carry this scooter up a flight or stairs or bring it on board a train. It is made of durable aerospace-grade aluminum and feels about as sturdy as branded models from Bird and Spin. Its whole design is very user-friendly and provides the rider with every tool they need to navigate a longer commute. The Swagger 5 is equipped with front and rear LED lights plus reflectors on the side, making it safe to ride at night. It comes with a bell, a phone mount, and a water bottle holder, all of which can really enhance the comfort of your ride. All of the controls you need are conveniently located on the handlebar, right next to an LED display that shows your current speed, gear, and battery status. The power button can be used to turn the scooter on and off, as well as toggle the LED lights and change gears. You can also mount your phone on the handlebar and use the free Swagger app to get more detailed information about your trip stats, battery status, and riding mode. When it comes to how the Swagger 5T rides, there are a lot of factors that will affect its performance, so take my figures with a grain of salt and keep in mind that the max rider weight is technically 220 pounds. Even if you meet or exceed this weight figure, the Swagger 5T is still a fun ride, but keep in mind that it will have limited performance and travel distance. Even if you are fairly light, the Swagger 5T doesn't have very robust acceleration. However, once it does get going, it is quite zippy. It has a max speed of 18 miles per hour, which is an improvement over the Xiaomi M365, and about the most you could reasonably expect from a 250-watt motor. Using the app or by double pressing the power button, you can shift between 3 different riding modes called gears. Note that these aren't literally gears, as electric devices don't have transmission systems. Instead, think of it as an electronic power limiter.
The lowest gear, Eco mode, will have the least strain on the battery but also the lowest max speed. The middle mode is better for beginner riders. Unless you need to, you'll probably want to stick to the fastest mode, as speed is a major perk of this scooter. The Swagger 5T has large 8.5-inch tires that offer decent ground clearance for navigating curbs and other bumps. The front wheel is air-filled while the back wheel sports an airless honeycomb design. This means you'll have improved shock absorption on the front while only having to worry about replacing the much more accessible wheel in the case of a flat. I appreciate that Swagtron made an effort to keep users from having to remove the rear tire, which is much more difficult to remove because of the disc brakes. However, many users reported that their scooter did not come with an air valve extender, which is necessary for keeping your front tire at the optimum 28 psi. This e-scooter has both a front electric ABS brake and a rear disc brake. The combination of the two makes for a fast and smooth braking experience that won't skid or lock your tires up. The rear brake is controlled by a cable lever on the left side of the handlebars, while the front brake automatically kicks in to provide regenerative braking when you are going downhill. Regenerative braking turns your excess kinetic energy back into power for the battery, extending the Swagger 5T's battery life beyond its 50-minute rating. This battery rating is calculated using optimal conditions, so realistically, you probably won't get anywhere close to the max travel distance rating of 12 miles. However, the battery life is still up to standards with other scooters in this price range. Flaws aside, the Swagger 5T is one of the best deals you'll find on an electric scooter under $500. It is almost as high quality as the rentable scooters you may have encountered before, but several $100s cheaper to own. At number 8. Jetson Aeris Folding Electric Scooter. Though it bears many similarities to more popular and more aggressively priced scooters, the Jetson Aeris is still a viable micromobility device. The Jetson Aeris is made from aerospace-grade aluminum and feels incredibly durable. It folds up in a matter of seconds, making it easy to take up the stairs or on the subway. It is also loaded with all of the accessories that you would want for an urban commute. The front post houses a bright LED headlight and there is a small LED tail light that flashes red for better nighttime visibility. There is also an LED strip of underglow which illuminates the ground beneath you. These can be turned on by short pressing the power button once you've turned the scooter on with a long press. It has a thumb throttle for acceleration on the right and a thumb throttle for braking on the left. The handlebars also house an LED display that shows your current speed, remaining battery charge. It will also briefly flash what speed setting you are in when you toggle through them. This screen is necessary as there is no app compatibility for this scooter. There is a button above the left brake throttle that can be used to cycle through different speed settings. You can set the max speed to 15, 11, 6, or 0 miles per hour. I have no idea why they added a neutral gear to these settings, but you'll likely want to leave it P3, the fastest setting, for most rides. The two benefits of the lower max speed settings are to teach new riders and to preserve battery for longer rides. For the most part, this isn't an issue either, as the Jetson Aeris is capable of about 40 minutes of ride time. They claim you can get about 18 miles out of a single charge, but this is only assuming optimal ride conditions, which you aren't likely to experience. The biggest factor in the Aeris performance is rider weight. The max rider weight of this e-scooter is 220 pounds and being anywhere close to that figure will impact the max speed you can reach. This is especially true riding uphill, as the scooter's 250-watt motor isn't designed to handle inclines steeper than 20 degrees. Thankfully, this scooter's rider deck is fairly low to the ground so you can easily give it a little push to make it over tough hills. The Jetson Aeris sits on 8.5-inch solid rubber tires, which are virtually maintenance-free. Hard tires will typically make riding on rough terrain a painful experience, but the Aeris has a front shock that helps smooth things out. Tires this small aren't designed for rutty dirt roads, though, and you will lose a lot of speed riding on them. As for how the scooter handles on smooth pavement, it is fun and easy to ride. The acceleration feels a little sluggish, but riding is steady once you get to top speed. The Aeris has both a front electric ABS brake and a rear manual stomp brake. I would have preferred a proper disc brake, but the manual brake gets the job done while keeping this e-scooter competitively priced. Plus, the electric brake is smooth and works fine on its own. All in all, if you are looking for a truly compact e-scooter, the Jetson Aris is an easy choice.
It is an ideal travel companion for last-mile commuting and riding across town alike.